I know this might trigger people and I'm sorry for this, but I think I need to tell the story about something that happened to me when I was 15 years old and studying for GCSEs. Now, I have told this story many times before, but I'm going to tell it again because I got loads of new followers and I think it'd be easier for them not to have to go looking through my videos. So I'll tell the story again. So basically, it was our GCSE exams and school had finished one day. It's a long time ago, so if I forget some of the details or I get them wrong, please excuse me. But school had finished one day, or which it's probably more likely to be. So school had finished one day, and this boy that was in my year, and I think he was in my class as well, came and knocked on my front door. My mum answered, and he said, "Is Amber in? We've got an exam soon. We've got exams soon, and I want to do some revision with her." And she said, "Yeah, she's in her room. Go upstairs." He came up into my room, and he stood. He went to stand at the end of the bed where my head would be, and he sort of had his hand on his hip, and he went. He didn't actually come in to do revision like he said, but this is where the hand on the hip came in. He put his hand on his hip and he went. He said, basically, if you tell people that you've had sex, right, people would respect you more. So I was quite naive and I wasn't very streetwise, so I just sort of said okay, and he proceeded to pull his trousers down and his you know what and make me do something to his under his private parts. I didn't want to do it, but I did it because I was scared of him, because he said that people would respect me more and things like that. And so it comes to maybe like a week or so later, I think, or no, probably 2 or 3 months late. Sorry, I can't remember exactly, but I believe maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, it was. Oh no, sorry, this was the last incident, but the second incident was. He was a bit of a, like a naughty child, so even though I don't think he should have, I think he worked with the caretaker of the school. So this boy, the same boy as the first time, he decided to knock on the door. I was in English class. He knocked on the door of my English class, and he says to me, he waited for me to come out, and we only looked at the toilets around that end of the school, which really wasn't that many because most of them were between the middle and the other end of the school. But he was basically looking for toilets or changing rooms that were unlocked. And the only toilets, well, luckily there were none unlocked, but there was only 3 corridors at the end of the school. That's end of the school, sorry. And they were in the English corridor and the languages corridor. the languages corridor were actually changing rooms. So luckily they weren't open, but I can guess what he wanted to do. He wanted to have you know what. I was so thankful that these doors were locked, because obviously he couldn't do anything then, could he? The third incident was in the summer, and I think it was a few weeks or about a month before our birthday. Bearing in mind, mine's on the 19th of August, and I think his is on like a week earlier than mine. So he came and knocked on my door again. Or I was either playing out, but as I said, it's a long time ago, so if I get some of the details wrong, please forgive me. He knocked on the door, or obviously I was playing out because it was the summer holidays. And basically we lived in a cul-de-sac, and there was like a huge long bush that went behind all of our houses on that street. So basically what he did was we walked down the end of the road and a little bit further on till we went. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't the summer, because apparently he'd lost his school tie, and this is what triggered the other bit. We walked down the end of the street and a little bit further on round the corner to get into the entrance of the bush. And on the pretense that he'd lost his school tie, and how that could happen, I don't know, because he hadn't. What he actually wanted to do was have sex with me again. I didn't do it, but I was really, really scared, because he wouldn't let me get out the bush, basically, because there was a police car at some houses, or a house opposite, and he wouldn't let me get out in case, obviously, the police caught him and they were wondering what we were doing. So, yeah, I went back home, and I've only ever told a couple of friends and my mum and my brother about this. No one else in my family knows about this. But I am really sorry. And this is part of the reason why I've never ever been in a relationship. Because I don't trust people. But I don't really trust men. Ever since then, I've found one that I trust, but we're just good friends. But yeah, so I've never been in a relationship, and I do tend to blame myself, because obviously I didn't stop him, and I know I shouldn't blame myself because it's not my fault, but I do.